Okay, today's daf is Yoma Yud Gimel, Yoma 13. The Gemara, in the middle of Yud Gimel and Aleph, um, the Gemara says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Mishnah says on Daf Beis, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he needs to have a replacement wife, just in case his wife dies. So v'chiber ba'adavad beso. So the Gemara says, how is this possible to have two wives? B'halach besohu. Just because you set her aside to be his wife doesn't mean this is his house. So the Gemara says the Makadish law. He does Kedushin to the second wife before Yom Kippur. The Gemara says V'akama de lo kanis la lav beisohi. If he didn't bring her into his rishos, he didn't bring her to the chuppah, so it's not really his house. If the first wife dies, he's not really. The second wife is not called beiso. So the Gemara says the kanis law. We're talking about before Yom Kippur. He brought a second wife into his rishos. He brought her into his house under the chuppah. Somewhere says Imkin Havale Shnei Batim. Rahman Amar V'chibra Adavar Beisa V'lo Abad Shnei Batim. Has to be one wife, not two wives. You're going to be married to two wives on Yom Kippur. The Gemara says the Hadar Megarish law. We're talking about he was Makadish, the first wife, then he was Machnes her Shuso, and then he was Megarish her. So the obvious question is over here. I mean, what's going on over here? If he's Makadish her, and then he's Megarisher, so what did he accomplish? He accomplished nothing. He was Megarisher, she's not his wife, she's not related to him at all. That's one question. In order to answer this question, I want to suggest that that there's two processes to attaining a full wife, to attaining a bias. First of all, there's Kiddushin. Kiddushin is a marriage contract. It's you give her money, you give a ring to a woman, and you establish a marriage contract between them. She's partially your wife. And then, if a chanisla, if you bring her into your rishus, that's considered a consummation of the marriage. And or you bring her into the chuppah, or bring her into your house. So that's ki'ilu. Another way, it's equal to another way of marrying somebody, which is called Eristin. Eristin, like the Gemara in Ksuvo says, Masar av l'shluchei abal, Masar av labal. The father gives over to the husband. Arusa is when the woman enters the rishus without a marriage contract, without a kiddushin. And the consummation of that marriage, if there's no kiddushin, so if you only have Eristin, if you only have entering into the rishus of the husband, so then you need a bia. And the bia consummates the nisuin. So there's two ways. Either you can have the erisin with a bia, or you can have the kiddushin with a knisa into the rishos, with a chuppah. So maybe that's what the Gemara is saying over here. That the Gemara is saying, the Gemara says the Hadar Megarish law. What did he do? He was Makadisher, and then he was Machnis L'Shuso. So when he's Megarisher, it wipes away, Gerushin wipes away Kiddushin. But it doesn't wipe away the fact that he was Machnas Shuso. So she remains, he has one full wife from before, and now he has Kilo and Arusa. The Kiddushin is gone, but because he was Machnas Shuso before, the Gerushin wiped away just the Kiddushin, so therefore she's considered an Arusa. So he has one full wife and he has one Arusa. And the Havamina of the Gemara thought that when you have one wife who's a full wife and one wife who's an Arusa, so therefore, when the full wife is there, so she's your wife. When the full wife dies, the arusa, since she was already nechnesed to shuso, she becomes his full wife automatically. And therefore, no matter what happens, it'll always have one wife. And the Gemara says, no, the Gemara goes back and says, no, an arusa is already considered beso even before the first wife dies. Now, if this is true, that's when the Gemara goes to the next line of the Gemara. It would make sense. The Gemara says, Lo Srichan the Megarish al Tenai. We're talking about his Megarisher with a Tenai. And the Gemara eventually says that what the Tenai is, after going through a long Shakatari, the Gemara in Amud Beis says, what's the Tenai? The Tenai is, he says to one, L'chad amar la reza gitach menashe lo tamus chaverte. L'chad amar reza gitach al menashe kanasani lebeis haknesas. So he makes a Gerushin al Tenai. Why is the Gerushin al Tenai better? Why does it answer it better? Because Gerushin al Tenai is first a Tenai that you say you're going to make a get. Almanas on condition that a Tenai, that a Maisa will happen, that something will happen. Gerushin al Tenai is stronger than a regular Gerushin. Why is it stronger? Because it's dependent on an action, on doing an action. It's not just giving the get. It's also a Tosefus of doing something, going into the Beis HaKnesset. So, therefore, the Gemara really tries to answer. The Gemara is going back and saying, once you're Megarish a woman al Tenai, so therefore, not only is the Kedushin wiped away by Gerish al Tenai, but also the Knisa, the Lershuso, the Arusa aspect of it is also wiped away. So that's why the Gemara immediately answers Megarish al Tenai, and the Gemara eventually comes to that's the answer, Gerish al Tenai, because the Maisa, the extra Maisa, wipes away not only the Kedushin, but also the Maisa wipes away the Knisa Lershuso, and therefore she's not even considered Arusaso anymore. And that would answer the Rishonim's question, why does the Gemara say, the Gemara says that's the case, the Megarish al Tenai, he makes these two Tanoim, and the Gemara says it takes care of all the cases. And even either maybe you have a concern, the Avar Avoda, Adilma Maisa Chaverta Bapaga, the Avoda, Avale Avoda Lemafreya B'Shnei Batim. Maybe she's gonna die in the middle of the day, and he's gonna end up having two wives. First, he sees one wife is dying, he goes into the Beis Knesses and makes the other get chal by going in and Mekayim the Tenai. So the Rishonim asks, why does he have to Mekayim the Tenai before she dies? Even after she dies, it would be okay. There's Ein Gerushin Lachar Misa, but the Tenai can be Lachar Misa. So the answer is that if he does the Maisa before she dies, that's considered a Maisa, which will wipe away the Knisa or Shuso. But if she dies first, then really the marriage between them was over, because Misa ends a marriage. Now, it was really a Gerushin, because the Gerushin happened beforehand. But it would lack the Maisa to Mavatel, the Knisa or Shuso, that aspect, and therefore it would just be Mavatel Kedushin, but the Knisa or Shuso, she would still be considered a Rusaso, and we are Palma Shtei Batim.